Hi, my name is Maggie Marcinsuk, and I'm the Coordinator of Mental Health Services at the East Campus. Welcome to my presentation today called Stress Less, Self-Care During the Corona Crisis. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about what I do. I'm a clinical social worker, and I provide crisis intervention and short-term counseling for students. I also offer referrals to community agencies when needed. This is a free confidential service for students. I have state and federal laws of confidentiality that I need to adhere to. I also do programming during the semester around mental health and wellness. I try to go by appointments to the extent that I can, and at the end of this presentation, I'll be sure to give you my contact information in case you need someone to talk to. Today we're going to talk about stress. What is stress? What is fight, flight, or freeze? How does our body respond when we're stressed? What are sources of stress? How do we know when we're stressed? What are the signs and symptoms that we should be looking for? And then we're going to talk about how to take care of yourself. At the end of this presentation, there'll be experiential exercises that you can feel free to go back to and practice. Normally, I speak with students about sources of stress as a college student, but today there's so much more going on with the coronavirus that there's new sources of stress for you. And we're going to speak specifically about some of those things. So if we had to define stress, how would you define it? A textbook might say it's a state of physical and psychological arousal that's brought about as a result of a threat, challenge, or change in your environment. I like that definition because physical and psychological, it's saying it's a mind-body thing. You can't separate the two. We're all connected. It's brought about as a result of a threat, challenge, or change in your environment. Well, with the coronavirus, that is a threat right now. We're concerned about people's health and well-being. It's a challenge because we're asked to operate in a totally different manner. This came upon us very quickly, and we had to operate in a different manner very quickly. Right? So that's a challenge for us. How can we provide services from home? How can we continue the semester with students so that they can continue to learn? It's a change in your environment. You're being asked to stay home. You're being asked to do online classes, which is not something that you signed up for maybe. And you're also asked to social distance, right? So don't go out. And if you do go out, stay 6 feet away from people. Right? So that's a real change in how you normally operate. It's like the governor said, it's not business as usual right now. Let's talk about what happens physiologically in your body when you're under stress. You might have heard about fight or flight, or fight, flight, or freeze, because sometimes people don't know what to do under stress. Basically, you get a surge of adrenaline in your body, and that helps your body prepare to either fight off that stress or to run away. So your blood flows more efficiently in your body. Your heart is beating faster. That blood is flowing to major muscles in your body, so that helps you to run away or fight the source of stress. You have an increase in blood sugar because that's helping you to provide energy to fight off the stress. Your pupils dilate, so that helps to bring in the light so that you can see clearly. The digestive system is the one system in your body that's not working well when you're under stress. You might get dry mouth because you're producing less saliva. There's a rhythmic movement called peristalsis that pushes food through your intestines and your digestive system, and that's kind of spazzing out. So all of that leads to two common signs and symptoms of stress, which is constipation and diarrhea, which people don't usually like to talk about, but when we talk about signs and symptoms of stress, those two things will come up. Let's talk about some sources of stress. So normally with college students, I'm talking about things like relationships and family and juggling jobs and school and finances and deadlines with their homework and professors and things like that. But on top of it now with the coronavirus, you have other sources of stress. You're being asked to stay home, maybe self-quarantine. You're being asked to stay with your family more. Well, I know there are some students who don't want to be home. I know there are some students who look to get involved in activities or go to the library to do their work because they don't want to be home. Family can be great social support, but not for everybody. It depends upon your family. And that's a hard thing to do, to have to stay home with them. You're also being asked when you go out to practice social distancing, right? Stay 6 feet away from people. Well, that's not how we normally operate, right? I don't know. I'm a hugger, You go to the grocery store, you stand on line. You're right behind people, So things are very different. You may be under more financial stress right now, right? Because you might not be working. Your family might not be working, and you might be worried about providing and helping the family and, paying bills and whether there's food on the table. If you have concerns about having food at home, you can email East Food Pantry at sunysuffolk.edu, and they will arrange to have some food available for you to pick up. Because campus is closed right now. But that's still an option. And Long Island Cares, the Harry Chapin Food Bank, has on their website a way of searching by zip code to find out where there's resources in your area if you need food in the home. So on top of all that, you're transitioning to online. Maybe online isn't what you signed up for, right? But we at the school are doing the best that we can to try to help support you in any way that we can. But that's a real source of stress. Have you ever been on Blackboard? Do you know how to navigate it? But know that there's help out there. So there's lots of different sources of stress for students right now. But there's support available. How do you know when you're stressed? What are signs and symptoms that you should be looking for? So stress can affect us physically, emotionally, behaviorally, and cognitively. So physically, you might get headaches, chest pain, right? Sometimes people go to the doctor thinking they're having a heart attack, and it could be stress related. They can have stomach issues, right? Constipation or diarrhea, right? Sometimes people eat, they think, oh, maybe it's something I ate, or maybe I'm getting the flu, right? It didn't agree with me. Maybe it's stress. Stress affects us emotionally, right? We might be cranky and irritable. We might cry more or cry more easily when we're stressed. It can affect how we behave. We might sleep more or sleep less. We might eat more or eat less. If you use alcohol or drugs, right, you might do that more often. If you smoke, you might smoke more often. And definitely cognitively, it affects how we think, how we can recall information. We might have difficulty making good decisions when we're under stress. So what's important for you is for you to think about what signs and symptoms are related to you, and what can you look for in yourself so that you can recognize, hey, you know what, I am stressed. So now that we know what stress is, how it affects us physiologically, what some of our sources of stress are, and how we can recognize it within ourselves, I think it's important to talk about what can we do to take care of ourselves. I'm sure you know there's certain things that you can do to take care of yourself, right? Like eat well and exercise. That's important when you're under stress. So when you're under stress, your body's being depleted of nutrients. So it's important to replenish, right, with fruits and vegetables. But how do we tend to eat when we're stressed? Tend to eat things on the fly, fried food, food on the go, food high in sugar, high in caffeine, right? Not necessarily healthy choices. And for exercising, of course it's good to exercise on a regular basis, but if you know you're under stress, taking a brisk walk outside, you can still do that even though you maintain that 6 feet of distance. Right? Because when you sweat and you're exercising, you're literally sweating off stress hormones in your body. So it's a good thing. How much water do you think we should be drinking? When I was young, it was 8-ounce glasses. Well, now they're saying half your body weight in fluid ounces. If you're exercising, maybe a little bit more if you're sweating a lot when you exercise. So in addition to that, With the coronavirus and everything that's going on right now, I think it's important that you connect with other people. I get a lot of students who talk about feeling lonely. So make an effort. FaceTime, Snapchat, do whatever it is you do to connect with other people. Get on video games and play with your friends, right? There's lots of things that you can do to connect with people. Pick up the phone and call and say hello and ask how they're doing. In addition to connecting with others, I think it's important that you practice good hygiene, right? Might be nice hanging out at home in your sweats for a while, but I don't know, if it's been a couple days and you haven't showered yet, maybe you need to do that because it does affect your mental health. So get up, shower, get dressed like you're getting outside, shave, put on your makeup, whatever it is that you need to do, because that'll help you feel good. I'd like to talk with you a little bit about mindfulness. Mindfulness is a big thing in the mental health field right now. So what does it mean to be mindful? Mindfulness means paying attention on purpose, in the present moment, without judgment. Right? We so often think about our past and worry about our future. How often are we in the present? Just being. If I had you in class right now, I'd take you outside for about 5 minutes in the quad. In fact, you could do this outside your house if you wanted to. Just be outside and engage your senses. Feel the warmth of the sun on your face. Feel the wind in your face. Listen to the birds and the sounds around you. Listen to the flag flapping in the wind, right? Smell the fresh cut grass. And just be there for 5 minutes, focusing on those things. That's what it means to be mindful. One way to be mindful is to focus on our breath. We take breathing for granted. It just happens automatically. We do it. Thankfully for that, because if we had to think about it, we might forget. We get so wrapped up in our day, right? But how do you breathe? What's the proper way to breathe? Have you ever thought about what happens to your belly when you breathe? So I'd like you to take your hand and put it on your belly and tell me, when you take a deep breath in, does your belly rise or does it collapse and go in? It should rise, right? That's what diaphragmatic breathing is. That's if you were a singer, you would know what diaphragmatic breathing is, right? You want to take a deep belly breath because we only use about 1/3 of our lungs' oxygen when we breathe if we're not taking a deep, full breath. When you were born, that's how you were breathing as a baby. So what I'd like you to do is picture a balloon in your belly that you want to fill with air when you take a deep breath in. And then when you take the breath out, you want to let that air out of the balloon. That's how you should breathe. Our breath is an anchor that serves to center us, right? If you use the analogy of a boat, a little rowboat that's in the water, right? It's anchored down and it's kind of moving in with the waves of the water, going back and forth, right? But it's the anchor that centers it and keeps it in one place. And that's what our breath does. Paying attention to our breath is important because how do we breathe when we're stressed? Might be shallow breaths, might be rapid breaths, but they're not deep, relaxed breaths, right? So some people think that if you practice your breathing and practice breathing in a relaxed manner, that the relaxation is going to come with it, right? Because you can't be stressed and breathe in a relaxed manner at the same time. It doesn't work that way. I think about the students who suffer from anxiety. Anxiety is the number one thing that students come into the counseling center with. And with all that's going on right now, some of that anxiety is just heightened. Use your breath. Your breath will center you and will help you to relax. Another way to deal with your stress is to look at perspective. Hamlet said, "For there are no things good nor bad, but thinking makes them so." And Epictetus, a philosopher, said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views that they take of them." Some people think it's not the thing itself that stresses you out, but how you choose to look at it. Anne Frank said, "I don't think of all the misery, but of all the beauty that still remains." That's perspective. Just to put some perspective on the coronavirus, we're being asked to stay in our homes. Anne Frank and 7 other people hid in a 450 square foot attic for 761 days, remaining quiet so they wouldn't be discovered and they could remain safe. That puts perspective on things. I noticed some posts on Facebook that helped to give perspective to the coronavirus. I know I'm older than you. I'm on Facebook. You guys don't do that. You're snapping. But anyway, I'd like to read them to you. I was telling my husband how sad it was that students were having to go through this their senior year. He replied, "In 1964 to 70, many kids took their senior trip to Vietnam. At least these kids are home." There was another post that said, "Our grandfathers had to go to war. We're asked to sit on the couch. We can do this." That's perspective. If you're still having difficulty finding perspective during the coronavirus, I'd like to share with you another quote, this one by Dr. Lindsay Jernigan. And she said, "Try this perspective shift. Instead of seeing social distancing and travel bans as panic, try seeing them as acts of mass cooperation intended to protect the collective whole. This plan is not about individuals going into hiding. It's about a global, deep breath, an agreement between humans around the planet to be still. Be still in hopes that the biggest wave can pass without engulfing too many of the vulnerable among us." Along with perspective, another way of dealing with stress is to look at those things that you have control over and those that you don't. You don't have control over the existence of the coronavirus, or that classes are transitioning to online, or maybe being out of work. But what you do have control over is staying inside so that people are safe, washing your hands often, practicing social distancing, like staying away 6 feet from each other. You have control over your day-to-day activities, limiting how much news that you see, because that can create further stress for you. Connecting with friends. You get to choose how you want to spend the money that you do have. And you can choose to reach out for support if you need it, whether it's with your online classes or whether it's you needing somebody to talk to. Focusing on gratitude will also help you through this coronavirus crisis. I'm stuck in my house. I have to distance myself from people. Can't always get to the grocery store or find the things that I need. I'm out of work. Yeah, there's a lot of not so great things going on, right? But if you take the time to focus on things you are grateful for. I'm grateful that my kids are home every night and not out at sports, so we can all sit down every night and have a meal together. I'm grateful for the fact that I have more time in the morning to exercise every day. I'm grateful that I get to spend more time with my dog. I'm grateful that I have an extra hour in my day because now that I'm working from home, I'm not commuting there and back. So there are things I'm grateful for. What's your gift? At the end of the presentation, there's going to be a gratitude journal that you can keep to help you focus on the things that you are grateful for. And being grateful will help you to deal with stress and it'll help bring happiness into your life. When this virus is all said and done, there may be bigger gifts that we benefit from in society. So, okay, bear with me. I got another Facebook post, but I think when the dust settles, we'll realize how very little we need, how very much we actually have, and the true value of human connection. So I hope this all causes us to look at life differently and slow down and connect with others and maybe gain different perspective on life. Another great way to deal with stress is laughter. So kids laugh an average of about 300 times a day. Adults maybe 10 to 100 times. So we need to learn more from the kids, right? Laughter helps us deep breathe. It relieves muscle tension. It lowers stress hormones. It lowers your blood pressure. It heightens your T cell count, those things that are helping to fight off illness, right? So it's boosting your immune system. It helps with anxiety and depression. It helps you sleep more. It helps with your memory. So who knew that laughter could have so many benefits, right? Go watch a funny movie. It's important. Hopefully you'll find these next 2 slides funny so that it brings a little bit of laughter into your day. Finally, I'd like to end with some experiential exercises. And like I said earlier, these are things that you can go back to at any point while you're home if you'd like to try to find some stress relief. The first one is an exercise in practicing gratitude. So it's basically you could keep a journal and complete the following statements, and you can do this as often as you want to help you find gratitude. The next exercise is an exercise in mindful breathing. So what I'd like you to do is to come to a comfortable seated position. Ensure that your back is straight and that your body is as relaxed as possible. Take a moment to ground yourself into the space you're in by closing your eyes. And then, noting the presence of the room around you, what does the air feel like against your skin? What does the earth feel like beneath your feet, your backside, or your resting body? Draw your attention to the natural rhythm of your breath. Without trying to change or control it, simply practice observing it exactly as it moves at this present moment. You might notice its pace and depth shift. Allow it. Simply hold your focus on each in-breath and out-breath, also observing the brief pause in between each inward and outward movement. The next exercise is called a loving kindness meditation. We say things to ourselves that we wouldn't say to other people, right? So these are like positive affirmations, things we want to say to ourselves, to be kind to ourselves. So what you can say, you can repeat after me, whether it's out loud or quietly to yourself. And I'd like you to repeat this 3 times. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be safe. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful and at ease. Finally, I'd just like to say, with all the chaos and uncertainty with everything going on with the coronavirus, be kind to one another. Be the reason that someone believes in good people, and stay healthy. I'm sorry we didn't get the chance to meet face to face. I hope to see you back on campus real soon. If you need someone to talk to, just email us at mentalhealth@sunysuffolk.edu. Make it a great day.